starts with Durkheim's notion of solidarity, and then, quite differently, we have Weber's notion of authority, which rests in a particular form of domination, Foucault's notion of discipline, and Beauvoir's emphasis on gender domination. That is the course. That will take us till next May. And between now and next May, you're going to have lots of other beautiful pictures. Okay? So you see, by problematizing Smith, we generate both the tradition of Marxism and of sociology. That is why Smith is such a fantastic foundation for this course. His theory of the division of labour will, in fact, lead us to these very different theories of the division of labour. Any questions? Very good, very good, very good, very good, very good, very good. No questions. Okay, very good. Right. Now, next. Number 3, Marx and Engels. What does it say up there? Marx and Engels. Introduction! 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 Has anybody read anything by Marx and Engels in their life before this class? Hands up! Now that is really impressive. What have you read? It's Lorsch, right? Lorsch, what's your name? Are you you're Lorsch now?
I haven't read like a whole book, but I read all the learned.
What did you learn in school? Do you remember anything?
Yeah, about the Communist Manifesto.
Communist Manifesto. Do you remember anything in the Communist Manifesto? Anything he says there?
But history is all about the material.
Yes.
No, that history is all about the struggle between the rich and the poor, like the both.
Very good, very good. This was in high school you read this? In high school?
Yeah.
Did you read this in high school? Where did you read this?
High school, yeah.
That's impressive. Now, how many people read Marx and Engels in high school here? Whoa! Jason, what did you read in high school? You did? This country's getting more and more progressive every day. Very good. You really read the manifesto?
On my own interest.
Oh, out your own interest. Wow, your own interest. A budding revolutionary. Aha. Interesting. Jessica, right? What did you read? Did you read in high school? Communist Manifesto. Okay, has anybody read here anything besides the Communist Manifesto? Jane?
But that was last year, German ideology.
German ideology? Who did you? Stockinger. In what class?
Sociology of culture.
Culture. Oh, interesting. Culture. All right, very good. Well, then you know it already off by heart, Jane. Very good. Yes. How many people read the German ideology here then? One didn't read probably the whole thing. That's very good. I'm very impressed. Very good. Anything else that anybody has read besides the German ideology and the Communist Manifesto? Yes.
I read a compilation that was called Philosophical Texts by Marx.
Philosophical text. Do you remember anything in there?
Unfortunately, no.
Unfortunately, that's okay. You don't get punished for the past in this class, only for the present. Yes. Yes. What's your name? Greg.
We read a little something about personality cults, like a cult of personality. He did a little speech about it.
Marx.
Yeah, it's about like not to.
Is that right?
We read it like a psychology.
Personality cult in Marx. Very way ahead of his time. That's interesting. Does anybody know what personality cult? I'd love to see that text, Greg. Yeah, I don't know that text. Personality, is it in there? Oh, let's have a look. Personality cult. I think Tucker's just renaming something. Yes, personality. There it says 521. Very good, Greg. You perhaps should be teaching this course, not me. There it is. Can I read this? Against personality cult. It says here, but I'm sure it's Tucker's vocabulary. But it doesn't matter. Here he says, Karl Marx. Marx may have been the person to coin the now commonly used term personality cult. I'm wrong again. Moreover, this passage from his letter of November the 10th to Bloss was cited by Nikita Khrushchev in his secret speech. Oh, yes. Listen to this. This is interesting. This is new. I love it. I love it. All right, listen. It's on page 521 if anybody wants to follow. Actually, I've got a copy of my own. Is this yours? 521. This is going to be really exciting. I don't think it probably has much to do with the division of labour, but 521. I hope everybody's got their Tucker here. Okay, ready? Listen to me. Neither of us... Not clear who the us is. The reference is to him and his mate Engels. Neither of us cares a straw for popularity. We don't care about popularity. Proof of this is, for example, that because of aversion to any personality cult, I have never permitted the numerous expressions of appreciation from various countries with which I was pestered during the existence of the International to reach the realm of publicity, and have never answered them except occasionally by a rebuke. I have never sought out publicity, says Marx. When Engels and I first joined the secret communist society, we made it a condition that everything tending to encourage superstitious belief in authority was to be removed from the statutes. Yeah, so basically he is against anything that might be resonant with what Smith would call individualism. No, and so Marx is saying here that we didn't seek out publicity. We are part of the people, think like the people, and work with the people, and have solidarity with the people. We do not seek out any distinction for ourselves. Interesting. Thank you very much, Greg. Well, we'll see whether in fact you believe that Marx did not have a personality cult. Of course, a personality cult did develop around him. Okay, that's very good. I had not noticed that passage. That's very good. That was interesting. In letters, all sorts of things Marx wrote in letters. What else? All right, what we have here. Just free associate. Let's see if we can do this in 1 minute. Free associate Marx and Engels. What do you associate with Marx and Engels? The writings of Marx and Engels.
False consciousness.
False consciousness. Chelsea.
Commodity fetishism.
Whew, sophisticated words here. Commodity fetishism. All right, I will. That's very. Do you know what commodity fetishism is?
Yeah.
What is it?
Essentially the idea that, I'm going to give a weird analysis on this, but the idea that there are these ideas set up in society, and by buying something, we're buying into the idea, which makes it a perpetual cyclical need or drive to buy these things.
Yes. Our obsession with making everything into a commodity. We make even our tattoos into commodities. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes. Turning everything into a commodity that is bought and sold. Yes, indeed. Very good. Anything else? What else you associate with Marx and Engels? Yes. Bourgeoisie versus proletariat, sometimes known as class struggle. Very good. Anything else? Yes. Communism. What's communism?
What it is?
Yes, what is it? Are we in communism now? No? Sure? Doesn't this feel like communism? No? Communism, what is it? Political system, what sort of? Anybody know what communism is? Anybody? Alex?
It's the last political system. The last
The last? Is the last in the past?
No, the last in the dialectic.
Dialectic, never use that word in my presence. Dialectic, yes. You're Sandra, right? Yeah.
I think it's like there is no private property, so the property is owned by the people.
Very good. Anything else about communism? Yes, Matthew?
It actually develops from capitalism.
So it comes after or before capitalism?
Well, capitalism contains the seeds of its own destruction. And so
You're always giving me sophisticated answers. I asked you a question. Before or after capitalism? Very good. That's all I wanted to hear from you. Very good. Anything else you associate with the writings of Marx and Engels? Josephine.
Primitive accumulation by dispossession.
Jesus, such a sophisticated lot. Primitive accumulation by dispossession. What on earth is that?
At the time that they were writing, or that Marx was writing, I think it's associated with the enclosure movement. So,
Dispossessing people, right? Pushing people off the land and turning them into laborers. Yes, very good. We don't need these fancy terms. Yes, anything else? Yes. No competition. Yes, in the communist society. Well, yes, interesting question. That's a fascinating question, whether there'll be communism. Alex, will there be communism? Will there be competition under communism? Okay, anything you say, you're going to be defining it. There's an interesting question. We really don't know a lot about communism. Yes, anything else about Marx and Engels' writings? Yes, what's your name? Anders.
Revolution.
What's a revolution?
Dramatic change in life history.
Dramatic change, the transformation. Is there any revolution in Smith?
Yeah.
Chelsea?
Yeah.
What's the revolution in Smith?
His redefinition of wealth accumulation, I guess, but I mean, a switch into capitalism or into. He was the first discoverer of economics or philosophical.
Aha, he's a revolutionary thinker in the sense that he transformed our thought processes. But Anders talking about the transformation of society. In Smith's theory of society, is there any revolution, Siana?
I would say no, because that revolution has to take place in society. So Marx and Engels talk about revolution as far as like society goes towards itself. Smith and Engels talk about revolution.
What has Smith got? Evolution. Very good. Yes. Okay, you're very good. You perhaps don't have to read the German. Oh, yes, you do. You will see. This is very good. All right, this is very good. Marx and Engels are obviously coming back. Look, Marx and Engels are associated with all sorts of radical ideas. In fact, there was a time not so long ago, perhaps 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. In fact, you might even say most of the 20th century, people were punished, imprisoned, killed, because either they did believe in the writings of Marx and Engels and the possibility of communism, or because they didn't believe in the writings of Marx and Engels and the possibility of communism. In this country, in the 1950s, was what we call the McCarthy era, where if you pronounced yourself a follower of Marxism and a communist, you were likely to be blackballed and lose your job, and sometimes even imprisoned. The voices of the past are with us. And in the Soviet Union, if you declared that you were anti-communist and did not believe in the ideas of Marx and believed in the ideas of Adam Smith instead, one equally could find oneself in a labor camp and punished. And to this day, there are countries in the world where declarations of antipathy to Marx and Engels, in Cuba, perhaps even in China, if you make public declamations, then you can get into trouble. Therefore, precisely because the writings of Marx and Engels were associated with political movements that actually meant life and death for so many thousands of people have been killed in the name of the writings of Marx and Engels. Revolutions have been made in the name of the writings of Marx and Engels. Precisely for that reason, we have to pay careful attention to what they actually wrote. What they actually wrote. And then we can assess better the significance of their role in history. So that is precisely what we will do. All right. We'll find it's not that easy. But believe me, it'll be worth it. So, who were Marx and Engels? Well, Marx lived from 1818 to 1883. I guess he was, 65 when he died. And Engels lived from 1820 to 1895. So they lived in the heart of the 19th century. They lived, in a sense, after Smith, who died in 1780-something. 1780 what? 1790. Something around there. Anyway, at the end of the 18th century. So, they were originally philosophers. German philosophers influenced by whom? The reigning philosopher of the era. Who? Hegel. Very good, very good. A man called Hegel, who fortunately for you, and probably for me, we are not reading. Now, Marx himself, let's talk about Marx himself, was very heavily involved in the German democratic movement. He wanted to bring democracy, rights of individuals, of free speech, free organization, party, electoral democracy, liberal democracy. He wanted to bring it to Germany. He wanted there to be a sort of French Revolution in Germany. There was a sort of imitation revolution in Germany in 1848, but it failed. Marx was very much part of that 1848 failed revolution. And because it was failed, the powers that be expelled him from Germany, and he was a fugitive, and he sped across Europe. He was in France, and he was in Belgium, and then he went back to Germany, writing all the time as a journalist. He was a brilliant writer. Until finally he landed up in England, in London, and spent the rest of his life where? In a British museum. He landed up in England as a permanent resident in 1849, and for the rest of his life, he was devoted to all sorts of political activity, but he also undertook the major work of his life, the writing of the 3 volumes of Capital, the writing of the theory of capitalism, which you might say was a response to the work of Adam Smith, though Adam Smith is rarely referred to in the 3 volumes of Capital. The 3 volumes of Capital. They're about 500 pages each. You are so lucky. Well, so unlucky that you're not reading those 3 volumes. We're going to condense those 3 volumes into about 30 or 40 pages. 2 wonderful pieces, one written by Engels called Social, Utopian, Scientific, and the other by Marx, Wage, Labour and Capital, which summarize Marx's theory of capitalism that he enunciated in the 3 volumes of Capital. So, that is what Marx was up to in London. After basically the 1848 period was a revolutionary period across all of Europe, largely failed revolutions, and Marx argued they were failed in large part because the working class was not sufficiently developed. And so in the post-48 period, there was a period of reaction, of political quiescence, and so in that period, he got on with his scholarly endeavors to develop a theory of capitalism, a theory which would show that capitalism could not sustain itself, would sow the seeds of its own destruction, and would lead to an alternative society he called communism. Right. Engels was his collaborator. Engels, as I said, lived from 1820 to 1895, so he lived lived about 12 years longer than Marx, and actually saw the rejuvenation, as I'll say later on, the rejuvenation of the socialist movement, a working class movement. And so he saw the restoration, the re-emergence of what we might call class struggle. Now, Engels was an interesting character. He was the son of a businessman. His father had a textile mill in Manchester, England. And Engels went to Manchester, England, ultimately to run that textile mill. And in his early trips to Manchester, he was horrified by what he found there. He found the amazingly deplorable conditions of the working class, described in a book, a very famous book, called The Conditions of the Working Class in England in 1844, of which I gave you about 10 pages to read, to give you a sense of the utter deprivation, poverty, degradation of the living conditions of the working operatives of the Manchester textile industry. And he wrote about that, and anybody who reads that cannot but be appalled by the conditions under which some people were forced